Hello, I'm John Wickersham, and in the first of this three-part series of videos I referred to caravan and motorhome windows and pointed out that in a motorhome the windows in a cab are usually automotive glass, just like the windows are on the tow car if you're a caravaner, whereas in the leisure area, the living area, they are usually an acrylic plastic. And that has very important implications when it comes to things like cleaning. This material is very easily damaged. Let's just go through this very simply and quickly. Obviously, when there's dirt on windows, the acrylic windows particularly, you need plenty of water. But I would suggest you don't use a high pressure hose unless you know exactly how to set it, because the power from a high pressure hose in the hands of an amateur can damage acrylic plastic quite dramatically. Use an ordinary bucket and sponge and make sure that it's a nice soft sponge. Some types, some of the synthetic types particularly, are fairly abrasive. Now most of the car type shampoos are a worthy additive in the water. Now I used to be a cheapskate, some say I still am, and I used to regularly use the washing up liquid pinched from the kitchen. Yeah, okay, except then somebody told me that to be more effective when you're washing the dishes, it contains a small amount of salt. And salt obviously can damage components on a car, a motorhome or a caravan. Some time ago, I worked with a company called Autoglim, and this is not a promotion for Autoglim, but I will mention their products on a number of occasions, because on that long-distance time, I worked closely helping them to produce a caravan and motorhome multi-purpose cleaner. And the difficulty that was faced, bearing in mind that their work has always been with cars, was the fact that motorhomes and caravans are made from a multitude of different materials. And that poses problems for the chemist who's trying to formulate a product that does virtually everything. And this didn't have adverse effects with the aluminium sometimes used on the sides of caravans. It didn't have adverse effects with the plastics. It was no use on the tyres whatsoever. That needs specialist products, but it is otherwise good. And I mention this because it's also good if you're using it to spray all over the sides of the caravan and the spray goes onto the windows. It works fine. There are some things, though, that you must not use. For instance, I wonder if in your washer bottle for your tow car, if you're a caravaner, or in the windscreen washer bottle in your motorhome, you have an additive that stops it freezing in the winter, but also facilitates the cleaning and the removal of all the dead flies. And of course the classic one is methylated spirits. I know you can get proprietary brands, but for years we always used to pop a little bit of meths in. For two reasons. It doesn't freeze up so quickly in the washer bottle, but also it is a very, very good cleaner. But not on acrylic plastic. Oh, it gives a good shine, no doubt about that. But just a little bit further down the line, perhaps 2 months, people started to notice when they'd used meths that there were tiny, tiny little hairline cracks called crazing cracks or craze cracks all over the surface. And once they appear, they can't be removed. So very clearly you do need to use the correct type of cleaners. But first, it's a good wash. A lot of water, a soft sponge, and if you wish, you can use a squeezy. And this one is remarkable. It's called the Californian Water Blade, and it's now being sold in motor accessory shops. And it's particularly good going over the wings of a car because it flexes and shapes to the shape of the bodywork. And this can be used carefully on a wet surface, not on a dry surface, as you can hear now. Fine, a lot of water, you've got the dust and the dirt off from the caravan or motorhome window. But also you'll probably be doing the cab if you're a motorhome owner. You might be doing your tow car at the same time if you are a caravanner. Now we have some other issues that we need to take into account. Let's just start talking about the rags that you might use. Now look, I said earlier that sometimes people say I'm a cheapskate, and yeah, well, I love t-shirts. And in the summer, when I get a summer, I like to use t-shirts. And when they're too out of date to wear or whatever, I always used to keep them for cleaning my cars. Maybe you do. And then I went on some training courses at Autoglim, 3 in fact. I took a motorhome on one, I took a caravan on another, and with other people being trained, I learnt all the techniques. And one thing I was taught was that don't use old t-shirts, because they usually contain something called lint. Now, I honestly can't tell you what lint is, but apparently it is abrasive. And the fine particles of lint which are typical in the fabrics of old t-shirts can actually cause damage. So what do you use? Well, that is when I was told why people, if they're specialist cleaners, use this cotton open weave cloth. It always looks strange stuff to me, and one layer you can actually see through it. Normally you bunch it up to make a little pad like this. But why should you use this? Why is it so important? Well, the open weave simply has a benefit. If you're cleaning a surface of a window, there may be a tiny bit of grit just lurking on the top that you didn't notice. If it's a solid rag, more like a t-shirt perhaps, then that piece of grit will move across as you polish the surface. Whereas on one of these, there are all these tiny little holes, these little indentations. And if there is a piece of grit, it can press and disappear into the gap and not provide the sort of damage that it would have done on a conventional cloth. So that is important to get hold of. And it's sold, of course, in many of the car accessory shops. Now let's get back to that problem, the fact that in the cab area of a motorhome or on a car, you have automotive glass. In the living area, you have a special acrylic. You will find plenty of car glass polishes on the market. But when you read the instructions carefully on the back, you see that this one is specific to windscreens and other windows on a car, but is not suitable on acrylic plastics. Well, of course, not to be beaten, Autoglim formulated in their laboratories in Letchworth Fast Glass. And Fast Glass is a product that is suitable equally on automotive glass, windscreens, side screens, and on the acrylic plastics that we're talking about here for caravans and motorhomes. And this is what you do. It's been washed, it's free of surface dust and dirt, and you spray it on from one of these rather clever spray bottles, and it comes out in a light film. Then you go over it carefully with your open weave cloth. The polish is suddenly becoming apparent, but there's something else that's apparent. My word, the back of it does often get pretty dirty. It comes as a surprise how dirty this really was. And then, on my first course some 2 or 3 years ago with Autoglim, they said use kitchen paper. It seems strange, it seems as if it might be too abrasive, but do the final touching up with the paper you've pinched from the kitchen. Even now, it's a little dirty on the back. More recently, since that early course I attended, these magic cloths have appeared. Microfiber cloths. Wonderful. A great product. And now Autoglim is proposing that if you've got one of these, use that instead of the kitchen paper.
Thank you for watching my video. I have written several books on caravans and motorhomes, and you'll see some of these on the screen in front of you. To find out more, why don't you go to my website? You'll see the address on the screen, and you can click on the link below this video, which would take you straight there. When you arrive at my website, you'll see all the books on the top right. Scroll through the carousel to find the book that you might want. And when you hover over the image with your mouse, you'll see the price. Then from here, you can click to go straight through to the correct page on Amazon. Once again, thank you for watching my video.